Imagine the day a highly anticipated next-generation video game console finally hits the shelves. Lines wrap around the block, and the internet buzzes with reviews. It feels like an instant global phenomenon. But that launch day is just one brief milestone in a journey that actually started years earlier. Every physical item we buy follows a predictable path called the product lifecycle. From high-end hardware to a simple pair of sneakers, almost everything follows a shared pattern of rising and eventually falling popularity. We can track this entire journey by looking at this graph, which simply maps the passage of time against the number of sales a product makes. Companies watch their position on this curve to figure out exactly when to adjust their prices or ramp up their marketing, all to keep the product successful for as long as possible. The story begins long before the public sees anything. This first phase of tinkering and testing is known as research and development, or R&D. Behind closed doors, teams are building prototypes, modifying the hardware, and trying to figure out what customers actually want. If we look at our chart during this period, we see absolutely zero sales. The company is sinking massive amounts of money into development, so the financial line is actually dipping deep into the negative. Eventually, the doors open and the product is released to the public. This is the introduction phase. Moving along our timeline into the launch, sales slowly start to rise. However, the company is still spending heavily on advertising just to get the console noticed. In these early stages, the business is essentially betting on the future. They are investing heavily and hoping the product catches on before they run out of cash. If the product is a hit, it enters a phase of rapid growth. This is when the console goes viral and demand suddenly takes off. Back on our chart, the growth phase is hard to miss. The sales line shoots upward as more and more people rush to buy the system. This spike in sales is a major milestone. It allows the business to finally pay off those early development and advertising debts and start making a real profit. Eventually, the rush of new buyers starts to level off because most people who wanted the console already have one sitting in their living room. This steady phase is called maturity. Notice how the chart changes here. The rapid climb stops and the sales line levels out into a high, stable plateau. Even though sales are at their highest point, the company has to keep spending on promotions to defend this spot from rival systems trying to win over their customers. Reaching this plateau is the ultimate goal. It transforms a risky, unproven idea into a reliable source of income for the company. No product can stay at the top forever. Eventually, interest begins to fade, and the product enters its final natural stage, decline. On our graph, the decline phase is marked by the sales line dropping away from that comfortable plateau as it starts to slide back toward the bottom. This happens because customer needs change, or perhaps a competitor launches a brand new, more powerful console that makes the old one feel outdated. At this point, the business faces a tough choice. They can either stop selling the product entirely or look for a way to save it. Tracking this life cycle is vital because it gives companies an early warning. It allows them to see the drop coming and take action before their sales disappear completely. When sales slip, companies use specific tactics, known as extension strategies, to breathe new life into the product. On our chart, these tactics interrupt the fall, causing the sales line to bounce back up, creating a new surge of interest. For a game console, this means dropping prices, releasing limited edition colors, or bundling popular new games to attract completely new buyers. From the early, expensive days of development, through the high-volume peaks of the market, to these final tactical moves, we've seen the full journey of a product. Using this life cycle as a guide helps companies plan their next move with confidence, giving them a clearer roadmap in the unpredictable business world.